Welcome to Reformed Thinking. Today, we're diving into a concept that's absolutely central to the whole Bible, the glory of God. And this isn't some minor theme, you know? The scriptures show it as the very reason for everything, the goal of all of creation and the final point of all history.
So, with a topic this huge, where do we even begin? A fantastic starting point is the first question of the Westminster Shorter Catechism. It asks about the main purpose of human beings, and the answer is laser-focused. Our purpose is to glorify God and to enjoy Him forever. That really sets the stage for everything we're going to talk about.
And look, this isn't just a purpose for Sundays. The whole idea is that this one goal shapes every single part of our lives. If we were made and saved for God's glory, then this concept has to be the lens we use to read the Bible and to live our lives day in and day out. Okay, let's get practical. What does it actually mean to glorify God? A really key point here is that we're not adding anything to Him. It's not like He was missing something and we're topping Him off. No. To glorify God means to see, to acknowledge, and to declare the incredible worth that He already has. It's about recognizing just how weighty He is and making Him central to everything. To get a better handle on this, it's super helpful to break God's glory into two different aspects: His intrinsic glory and His manifested glory. You can think of it as the difference between what God is in Himself and how He shows us who He is.
So let's look at this comparison. On one hand, you have intrinsic glory. That's God's own essential being, His majesty, which just is. It doesn't depend on anything He ever made. On the other hand, you have manifested glory, and that's the outward display of His worth. It's what we see in creation, in His actions, and it's the honor He gets from us.
Let's drill down on intrinsic glory for a second. This isn't just one of God's attributes, like His wisdom or His goodness. It's more like the shining total of all that He is, the combined weight of His complete perfection. This is who God is in and of Himself, before the world was ever a thing, completely self-sufficient.
Yeah, this idea of weight is so key. The Bible actually uses specific words to get at the substance of God's glory, so let's take a look at how the language itself helps us get this.
In the Old Testament, the main Hebrew word is kābôd. It literally means weight or heaviness. So when this word is used for God, it paints this picture of a being whose very presence has a kind of gravity that you just can't ignore. His majesty makes a real impression. Then you get to the New Testament, and the Greek word is doxa. This term shifts the feel a little bit to ideas like splendor, brightness, and honor. It's all about the praise that's owed to someone of immense worth, and you see it over and over again to describe the visible radiance of God, especially as we see it in Jesus Christ. And that brings us to the clearest, most focused display of God's glory. I mean, sure, all of creation points to it, but the Bible keeps directing our attention to one person where it's seen most intensely, and that's Jesus Christ. This verse in Hebrews is about as direct as it gets. It says, Christ isn't just a reflection or a messenger of God's glory, He is its very radiance. He is the exact imprint of God's nature. What that means is, if you want to know what God is truly like, you look at Jesus.
And Christ's work shows us this glory in these amazing stages. First, you have the incarnation. The invisible God becomes visible to us. Then, the cross, which is just incredible. God shows His total hatred of sin and His deep love for sinners in the very same act. And finally, the resurrection, where the Father gives His glorious stamp of approval on everything the Son accomplished.
This really flips our understanding of glory on its head, doesn't it? From our point of view, the cross looks like weakness, like shame. But from God's point of view, it's the moment His glory shines the brightest. But why? Because on that cross, a perfectly holy God saves ungodly people without just sweeping sin under the rug. Sin gets punished, and yet sinners get saved. So, what does all this theology mean for us right now? Well, it's not meant to just be an interesting idea we think about. It's supposed to shape every single part of the Christian life. Even the way salvation works is designed to put God's glory on display. The Bible is so clear that our salvation has nothing to do with our own will or our effort, but it's all about God's mercy. And that's on purpose, so that nobody can boast and all the credit, all the glory goes to God for His grace. In that command from 1 Corinthians, it's all encompassing. It really covers every area of life. We're talking about ordinary things like eating and drinking. Those are supposed to be done for God's glory. Our work, we're to do it as if we're working for the Lord Himself. When we gather for worship, it should be centered on God's truth, not on our personal tastes or what entertains us. And Christian mission is all about making God's honor known all over the world. You know, even something as hard as suffering gets its purpose from this. The Apostle Paul writes that our troubles right now are actually preparing for us an eternal weight of glory. That completely reframes how we look at hardship, right? It lets us see it as part of God's process of getting us ready for what's next.
So we'll leave you with this to think about. How does seeing God's glory as the goal of creation, of salvation, and of your own life change the way you see the world? It really does change everything, because from Him and through Him and to Him are all things. To Him be glory forever. Amen.